Okay, welcome back to lesson 39, where we are going to continue on the retropologizing, the wrist. So, we are just doing what we have been doing for the previous lesson. So this is how you would actually do it professionally, I suppose, when before we had add-ons and stuff. There are add-ons that can do this sort of thing, but this is a nice free way of doing it, and it definitely is something to know for your skills. Um, so over this course of this lesson, there will be little techniques I'll point out as we proceed and as we will line up. Sometimes the geometry you might need to add extra edges in. Just press Ctrl R. As you'll see me do in just a second. If you press Ctrl R, you'll add in a edge loop, and then you can add more geometry like so. This can be handy in certain scenarios, and as you can see, then you just have to replace them, making sure your snapping tools turned on. And then what we're going to do is just go speed up. I've seen some people say rotate the edges sometimes when if it's rotate, extrude. I just end up moving the vertices anyway into the position you want them to. So yeah. There is actually another way of adding all your faces together with the edges. So I will explain that in just a second. So what you can do is you can just select the vertex and your emulate 3 button phase mouse. I've noticed it acts up strangely sometimes. I'm not entirely sure what that actually does when you're just using a mouse, because I'm using the mouse now. So when I'm clicking the vertex, I'm just pressing E to extrude each one here. So E, then E, just pushing it along the edge there and snapping on automatically. I'm not sure what I was doing here. You can join them together and merge them together like so. Merge them at merge it at the cursor. So if your 3D cursor's at that, then you can merge it on top. Or you can just click the two verts and then just press J to join. Excuse me. Which would be a much easier way to do it than all the riff-raff of selecting 3D cursor and merging. So again, we are actually extruding on the other side, and when you're extruding just the verts, you want to try and make sure they're in line with the other vert and all the way along, like so. Another way of doing it as well, you can just use the snapping tool. You can just switch to the vertex snapping tool.
Sorry,
and
I don't know that one.
Oh, Alexa's talking to me again. We can just highlight it and merge it all together, or just merge all the vertices together. Anyway, when you select all 4 vertices, you can just press F to fill, and then the cool thing is here you can press the edge. When you select edge, as long as it has a train of vertices and it knows what the program it knows what you are asking the program to do, you can press F and then it will fill in all the faces along the 2 edges and vertices you've just created. It's very handy in certain scenarios, and always try and avoid again making triangles. If you come to a point where you think that, oh no, there's a triangle, that's not a big deal. Depends what you're going to use the model for. I mean, if it's just for display purposes, it's no big deal. Mostly as well when rigging, it's no really big deal either, because if you're, say, using the game engine platform Unity, and you're exporting it as an FBX format, it'll all be triangular faces. Wow, I can't get my words out today. Apologies. So, as you can see there, just line up all the vertices and then hold F and then fill in all the faces as it goes all the way along. Sometimes there's big gaps like this. You can just create a new quad in the center. As long as it's a quad, it should always flow freely. The quad flow should be nice and neat, as it's easier to edit later on as well. I don't know why I was using this method here. This is just for demonstration purposes, I want to say. So here we are, and this is we can just fill that face in. You can click on the edge and press F apparently instead of selecting all the vertices. Sometimes that works. I'm pretty sure in the previous Blender version that didn't work. So again, testing purposes was interesting. So selecting the edge, press F. It sort of knows where it wants to fill, which is amazing. I do like that little technique. Because you have to touch and move all the vertices into the position, I thought this wasn't too bad. Not to mention, it's easy to press E-click, 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 then having to line up when you're selecting the edge and then extruding the edge as well as the two vertices, because you don't have to come back and click on the vertex when you're replacing the face, which I find was quite what's the word I'm looking for? Quite relaxing. It's quite yeah, I can't remember the word I'm looking for. Sometimes you come to edges like this where it's like, oh no, can we make a quad? Yeah, you can make a quad. You might just need to move in the edge. It's very, I have noticed you can literally make a quad out of anything. Unless you come across like a 5 vertex Engon and it's the last face you need to put in. It can be a little bit tricky, but just have a look at your surroundings and have a look, see where the cutoff point is, and then see if you can. If not, you might need to make an extra edge loop. I do come across this later on, actually, in a later on video. I will explain it there, hopefully, about the 5-point Engon that I was trying to fill in the face. I'm just going to speed this up now to the end of the video, and we're just going to have a look on snapping these all to the object as we're extruding them down together, which isn't too bad. It's going to be a flat surface, so I'm not too worried about snapping all the vertices into place here, since the sculpting model isn't exactly straight. I'd always, if you trust your sculpting model and then snapping your new topology to the model, that's great. But I would recommend probably just looking at, say, any reference images that you may have and try and follow that. Or because sometimes when sculpting, it may not always be accurate. And sometimes it's not too bad actually just to go back into sculpt mode on the model and put in the extra grooves if you need to, if there's any bits you have missed. That will just help replace when you're using the snap tool. And again, sometimes snap tool isn't always the best to use at times. You might just need to free move a vert, or free move, say like the points, for example, the spikes at the top of the spikes. Might sometimes just need free moving sometimes, depending on what you're doing. So I think that's that for this lesson. We will finish this off, the wrist, in the next lesson, and then we're going to have a good overview and have a chat to see what else we can do. So, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next lesson.